I was part of an interesting discussion earlier today when we were talking about, among other things, artificial intelligence or AI. And one of the comments that was made was, before I spend so much of my time experimenting with and creating chatbots and GPTs and what any other LLM might be calling these special custom tools that we're able to build these days, I have to ask myself the question, why? Well, let's talk about that. Well, welcome to Legal Marketing Minutes, where I share short bursts of current marketing news and advice. I'm your host, Nancy Merland. If we haven't met, I'm a marketing and business development advisor, and I specialize in content, social, and digital media for lawyers and legal marketers. Your time is valuable, so let's get started, okay? We are going through what equates to the wild, wild west of artificial intelligence. AI is decades old. Generative AI, also known as Gen AI, is pretty new. Just a year ago, on November 30th of 2022, ChatGPT was launched, and all of a sudden it became all the rage because it became the everyday person, like me, for example. We didn't have to be coders. We didn't have to be scientists. We didn't have to understand how to write in code. It became a tool that anybody could use because anybody could type a question or a query into ChatGPT and get an answer. So it has become quite simple to use. And what we've also seen happen is that there are others who are also in this game. I mean, ChatGPT is owned by OpenAI, Sam Altman as CEO, but Google's very much in the game and just had big announcements. And then we have Anthropic with Claude AI, and there are others. So there is no shortage of large language models and generative AI tools. But this notion of asking yourself, what do you want to do before you dive in too deep and take too much time experimenting or building is an interesting one. And I have two schools of thought on that. I, of course, am a marketing and business development planner, a strategic planner. So I will just about always tell people, yes, take some time, create a plan, understand who your target markets are, understand what the messages are you want them to know, understand what challenges of theirs you are helping to solve, and figure out, and then on, all the steps of creating marketing or business development plans, and then go about finding those people, letting them know those messages, helping them understand that you understand their challenges, and giving them solutions. So I'm always a proponent of that when putting those kinds of plans together. And I do think that's a wise approach in this world, this artificial intelligence and Gen AI world as well. However, I would also recommend that we not be too hard on ourselves at this point in time. Even though these tools are very easy to use, they also are a little bit mysterious, and they are garnering attention because they are not only making some people's lives much more efficient and effective, but they're also causing a little bit of angst because they are, and yes, this has become an official term, they also can hallucinate or make up information. And so we have to be very careful about what the output is. And we have to treat it as an assistant and look over and review everything that's coming out of it to make sure, because your personal brand is at stake. And oftentimes your firm's brands are at stake too, if you publish something, if you use some kind of intelligence that is not accurate. So I do think that we are in a time when there's so much going on and so many new developments almost, and I've been taking a deep dive since ChatGPT launched, taking a deep dive into artificial intelligence and generative AI, and now general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, which gets even closer to how the human brain thinks. So it's sort of the next step in this evolution. But that's another conversation for another day. But what I would recommend is that we not be too hard on ourselves to say, this is what you definitely need to have in mind before you go in and start messing with this tool today. I think having a basic understanding of how all of this is structured and what it can and can't do and how to even think about it or dream about it or know what to be concerned about is what is really critical right now. And if you don't have that plan in place, don't worry about that so much right now, because I think what's important is that we are all learning this together. And I think it's going to be very difficult to dream about how you can plug it into what you are doing in your firms and your companies if you don't have an understanding about what it can do. And some of the best ways to do that are, and these are ways that I've been doing it. Again, I spend an awful lot of time reading and listening to and watching. I watch lots of videos. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I read probably more articles than I ever expected I would or that I would find time for a year ago on this subject. So I would definitely recommend that you find a few people who are knowledgeable in this area and you read what they have to say. And pretty soon you will have your stable of experts that you can learn from. I want you to do that because, as I mentioned a moment ago, that's going to help you dream or do or understand what the parameters are, understand what the guidelines are, understand what the ethics needs might be, and just to be aware because you really should become a part of these discussions in your firms. And trust me, there are very few people in your firm that are light years ahead of everyone else. There might be an advisory team that has been formed, and I would recommend that firms do that so that there are people who are diving deep. And that probably, and we don't have to go into that today so much as to say, that should include people from different disciplines within a firm because it isn't just owned by one department, not marketing, not IT, not HR. It is all of those people gathering around a virtual table together, if you will. But yes, I think you should take the time to learn what you can and to understand how it feels to operate within the world of these Gen AI tools. And again, please keep in mind, they are put together to be very simple so that you can write your question inside of it. Of course, don't put any confidential client information in it or firm information. Or now with speaking capabilities, you can also speak and ask it questions. So they're making it very easy. The platforms are not fancy. They're not frilly. They are meant for you to input your prompt or your question or your challenge or whatever it is you are asking and for the output to come back to you in a very simple manner. So this is a really good time you're not behind because this is so new. This is a really good time to spend a little bit of time every day or every couple days just experimenting, just listening to someone, just reading what someone has to say about it so that it becomes very familiar and some of these terms just then roll off your tongue. That's really one of the only ways that's going to happen is familiarity. So I encourage you to do that. Don't be so hard on yourself as to think that you have to have a complete plan in place before you dive in and experiment with these tools because I think in this situation, you need to become familiar with what you can even hope or dream to put in a plan. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending a few legal marketing minutes with me. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to know. If you're in a place where you can leave a comment, please do so. Or if you'd like to do that privately, please feel free to message me on any social media platform or my email, nancy@merlandmarketing.com, which is MYRLAND marketing.com. And that's also my website where you can find this and other podcasts and videos and blog posts. Thanks again so much for being here. Until next time, I'm Nancy Merland. Take care.